Hari Jaya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava. Shri Radha Madhava ji ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सत श्री श्रीमाद भाई चरणारविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की। इस्कॉन बीबीटी फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की। इस्कॉन गुरु वृंद की। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की। समवेत भक्त वृंद की। जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhaviti Naishtiki. Welcome everyone. Today Krishna's appearance day, but the pastimes I will narrate in the afternoon, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, something like that. Today we continue with Srimad Bhagavatam, where we left. 7th canto, chapter 4, entitled Hiranyakashipu terrorizes the universe. Like Kansa was also terrorizing the universe. Here is Hiranyakashipu. We are reading from text number 44, which is on the screen. Please repeat. Shri Yudhishthir Uvacha. Shri Yudhishthir Uvacha. Devarsha etadichhamo. Devarsha etadichhamo. Veditum tava suvrata. Veditum stava suvrata. Yad atmajaya shuddhaya. Yad atmajaya shuddhaya. Pitadat. Pitadat sadhave gyaham. Jihi agham. Pitadat sadhave hyagham. Shri Yudhishthira Vacha Devarsha etadichhamo Veditum tava suvrata Yad atmajaya suddhaya Pitadat sadhave ghyagam. Niruvacha Ichhamo Idum tava suvrata Atmajaya shuddhaya. Yudhishthira Vacha Mothers? Oh, okay. Shri Yudhishthira Vacha Devarsha etadichhamo Viditum tava suvrata Yatatmajaya shuddhaya Pitara sadhave ghyagam. Yudhishthira Vacha Shri Yudhishthir Uvacha. Maharaj Yudhishthir inquired, Devarishe, O best saintly person among the demigods, Etat, this, Ichhamaha, we wish, Veditum, to know, Tava, from you, Suvrata, having the determination for spiritual advancement. Yat, because, Atmajaya, unto his own son, Shuddhaya, who was pure and exalted, Pita, the father Hiranyakashipu, Adat, gave, Sadhave, a great saint, he, indeed, Agham, trouble. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaj Yudhishthir said, O best of the saints among the demigods, O best of spiritual leaders, how did Hiranyakashipu give so much trouble to Prahlad Maharaj, the pure and exalted saint, although Prahlad was his own son? I wish to know about this subject from you. Purport. To know about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the characteristics of his pure devotee, one must inquire from authorities like Devarshi Narada. One cannot inquire about transcendental subject matters from a layman. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 25th chapter, 25th word, Satam prasangan mama virya sammido bhavantirhit karna rasayanah kathaha. Only by association with devotees can one authoritatively understand the position of the Lord and his devotees. A devotee like Narada Muni is addressed as Suvrata. Su means good and Vrata means vow. Thus, the word Suvrata refers to a person who has nothing to do with the material world, which is always bad. One cannot understand anything spiritual from a materialistic scholar puffed up with academic knowledge. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, verse number 55, Bhaktyamam abhijanati, one must try to understand Krishna by devotional service and from a devotee. Therefore, Yudhishthir Maharaj was quite right in wanting to learn further about Prahlad Maharaj from Sri Narada Muni. So there are two more verses with almost no purport. And then the chapter ends. So I'll read it also. Then we can start tomorrow, Monday, new chapter. Yudhishthir says further, a father and mother are always affectionate to their children. When the children are disobedient, the parents chastise them, not due to enmity, but only for the child's instruction and welfare. How did Hiranyakashipu, the father of Prahlad Maharaj, chastise such a noble son? This is what I'm eager to know. Maharaj Yudhishthira further inquired, how is it possible for a father to be so violent towards an exalted son who was obedient, well-behaved, and respectful to his father? O Brahmana, O Master, I've never heard of such a contradiction as an affectionate father's punishing his noble son with the intention of killing him. Kindly dissipate our doubts in this regard. Purport. In the history of human society, an affectionate father is rarely found to chastise a noble and devoted son. Therefore, Maharaj Yudhishthir wanted Narad Muni to dissipate his doubt. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 7th canto, 4th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Hiranyakashipu Terrorizes the Universe. Mukam karoti vachalang pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham mande Shri Gurundinatarinam. So we have a question here. How can such a prestigious personality, the emperor, as he thought himself, of the three planetary systems, Hiranyakashipu, the great, try to kill his own son who was only 4 or 5 years old? What kind of heroism is in there? Does it become such a great personality or powerful personality like Hiranyakashipu to do such a, heartless, ignoble act like trying to kill his own son? So this is the question here. Maharaj Yudhishthira expresses his doubt that we don't see generally, of course in Kali Yuga we do see this, that parents have a lot of affection towards their children and they only chastise for the sake of educating them, not out of enmity or being boredness. Like nowadays, is a very great demoniac act. Sometimes if you go in the trash can, the public trash can, you find maybe sometimes there a living baby. It happened several times. It also came in the news. These things are happening in Kali Yuga. So Yudhishthira would be even more surprised. How is it possible? Then we would say, Maharaj Yudhishthira, this is Kali Yuga. And therefore these things are possible. But anyway, as time is running on, people are getting more and more degraded. But, as Prabhupada mentions, spiritual knowledge has to be obtained from a saint. Satam prasangan mamamairi samvido. Narada Muni, who is he? Prabhupada is glorifying him in the purport. Now Narada, he was born from Brahma's deliberation. As we know from Srimad Bhagavatam, when Brahma was born, he was instructed by Garabhodika Sai Vishnu to perform tapasya, ascetic penances. That is very important. By doing that, one cleanses the body, cleanses the subtle body, and invites divine energy to enter, by which one becomes fully cleansed and the consciousness is uplifted. And Krishna consciousness implies the highest level of consciousness. Some call that consciousness super consciousness. We say it's Krishna consciousness because there is nothing more super than Krishna, right? So it is Krishna consciousness. So Brahma's deliberation in transcendental state, when he was very much purified after 100 years of tapasya. If you read Bhagavatam, you find after so many years of tapasya, then he does a certain creation in the modes. And then he purifies himself again. He does tapasya and then he again creates. So in this way, there's a gradation of living entities which Brahma created, which are in different modes. When he was in a mode of ignorance, sleepy, outstretching, the snakes came into existence. The mentality of the snakes was created. It is by mentality that a gross body is created. And when he was in a very jolly mood, then the dancers and the Gandharvas came into existence, like that. And when Brahma was in complete deliberation, then Narada manifested. Now deliberation is in this area, therefore it is described Narada is coming out of the heart of Brahma. So Narada, he represents the Bhakti Acharya, the great teacher of Bhakti, and he is the famous writer of the Narada Bhakti Sutras. Ever heard of that book? I guess you must have heard of it. Prabhupada also let it be published, Narada Bhakti Sutras. Whatever disagreement one might have among the different schools of Bhakti, everyone then finally returns to Narada Bhakti Sutra because it's given directly by Narada. He is the Bhakti Acharya. That indicates that Bhakti resides in the lotus of the heart, and the Brahma having a body of intelligence, that would indicate that the heart of real intelligence is Bhakti. So, and what is that Bhakti? Because the deliberation can be intellectual. It can be trying to understand things. But if it turns into Bhakti, that means that deliberation is worshipping the subject of understanding. Right? A scholar might think of Krishna, write things on, but he's not worshipping Krishna. So it is not Bhakti. But if the understanding turns into worship also, then it becomes Bhakti. And that's the difference between that. What is that? Yoginam api sarvesham mad bhakti, yoginam api sarvesham madgate nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam samayukta tamo mataha. The best of the yogis is those who actually worship Krishna within their heart, like that. So it implies here that Narada is on that level that he can understand not using intellect, but by using feeling. Bhakti intellect means you understand by using your feelings. So deliberation therefore is of two kinds. There is material deliberation and there is spiritual deliberation. If you feel sleepy, I know somehow or other today, on Janmashtami day, because maybe you are too tense, then if you like, you can stand up also and hear the class. Then if there is some sleepiness hanging. So, deliberation is of two kinds, material and spiritual. So, when the goal of deliberation is found in the Jagriyan realm, as explained, there are 4 stages of consciousness. There is wakeness, Jagran, there is Swapna, dreaming, and there is deep sleep, Sushupti, and there's the 4th transcendental level of consciousness, which is called Turiya. So they manifest like this. When you observe the external objects and they enter in your consciousness, then you're aware of the external level. You are in Jagran, in a state of wake, right? Most of the people, they think that is the only reality. Then when you go to sleep, the external objects and their observation stops. You're also not aware of your gross body. You're in dreamland. And you're more aware of your desires. You can fulfill your desires in dreams, like that. So it means that even when the body is switched off or does not exist, still you're alive. Because in dreaming, you're not aware of this body, neither of the gross world around you. But still, you're alive. That means you're not the body. Otherwise, you would be dead and finished. So there is even a deeper state of sleep, which is deep sleep, in which there are no dreams. It's called Sushupti in Sanskrit. And in a deep sleep state, one only feels bliss and only that. There is no seeing, no hearing, no thinking, no creating, because there is no mind in there. Mind is also switched off. That's also possible to switch off the mind. Unless one can do that, one is not considered to be a yogi. Can you switch off the mind? So you're far away from being a yogi. So, a bhakti yogi. You have to be able to switch off the mind. Just like in deep sleep, there is no mind. You cannot create anything. You don't dream anything. The only thing is, when you wake up and the mind becomes active and the senses become active again, you can say, I had a very nice rest. I didn't have any dreams, but I slept very well. The deep state of bliss there is coming from the jiva goes into the lap of Mahavishnu and sleeps there, according to the Vedanta Sutras. So that indicates here there are three levels of consciousness here: wake, sleep, and deep sleep, Jagran, Swapna, Sushupti. And in all three of them, Lord Vishnu is active. Like that. So from the point of understanding spiritual deliberation, one has to understand that when deliberation is material, it means you're in the Swapna state. The mental state is active. And most people try to control their minds. To a certain degree, the mind also listens and cooperates. But when the senses become active, the mind does not listen anymore, right? When some nice dish is there, then the eyes become bigger than the stomach. When some nice girl passes by, then, you become bewildered. Or a beautiful man walks by, then you become bewildered. Then intelligence doesn't function. Mind is not controlled anymore. So it is a state of dreams, the state of desires, which is working here. So when that state, swapna, is used, dream is used for accomplishment in the gross world, Jagran world, then we are using the intelligence, mind, and ego just for, for successes in this world. See? And what happens then, the Atma is turning outward. In deep sleep, there is no physical awareness, neither any mental awareness. So what remains there is Atma awareness. Every night you're actually experiencing the Atma. But the Atma is in a deep sleep state. It's not awake, right? So when Mahaprabhu says, Jiva Jago, Gora Chanda Bole, it doesn't mean, there's also another meaning, that you sleep and wake up now, means you wake up in a Jagran level. But the actual waking up is, if you can wake up on the lap of Mahavishnu, that's real awakening. So when that happens, then we call it actually Samadhi. But the thing is, when you have material deliberation, the soul situated in Sushupti, deep sleep state, is one to become aware of the external world. So the consciousness turns outward. And then when it turns outward, the jiva tends to identify, because of false ego, with things he is not. And that's a problem. If you think that you are a woman, but you have a man's body, you're in trouble. If you think that you're a man and you're in a woman's body, you're in trouble. If you think that you are a tiger and you are in a child's body, you're in trouble. If you are a grihastha and you think that you are a sannyasi, you're in trouble. Right? It's obvious. If you do something which is not your identity, you're in trouble. So that's why when a jiva turns outward and identifies with something he's not, he's in trouble. He's not doing what he's supposed to do. See? That is the false ego convincing that the actual reality lies outside your existence, in the outer world, in the physical and the bodily existences. And when that happens, when that conditioning comes, when that conviction comes, then the consciousness is very much reduced to 2 or 3 dimensions. As I mentioned before also, we generally think we are living in 3 dimensions: length, width, and height, isn't it? Right? Okay, up to height we can say up to 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 meters, we can clearly understand how high something is, right? When it comes to distance, you can easily understand what is the distance between Köln and Brussels. We get some idea and how long it will take to get there, which speed. We have experience of that, isn't it? It's experience knowledge. And width also, right? The width is also easily understood. But if we put you into a skyscraper building and ask you look down and estimate the height you are now up or how you are up, is that easy? We are not so expert at that. Why? Because humans, they only live maximum height 2.5 meters. Some are really tall people, these baseball players from America, they're really tall, above 2 meters. I think he also is very tall. Is he 2 meters? Almost, see? He's from Dwapara Yuga. He's a little too late. People in Kali Yuga are small. So, that is the thing. When it comes to height, we are not very expert because we don't have much experience, because we can't fly. We dream that we had wings, right? But then some people say, if God wanted men to fly, he would give him wings. So we didn't get wings. So we are living in 2 dimensions actually. We don't even know how height is experienced. And we can't even go very high, because if you go above 500 meters, you got this caisson disease, which means the air pressure is so low that you might get some troubles. So we're actually bound to 2 dimensions, and we think that we can understand more than that. You can only understand length, distance, and width. And even in height, you have difficulties. But I can understand God. I can understand everything. But your consciousness is becoming reduced and reduced and reduced. If you only take the Jagran, the external world, as your reality, you're missing out of the possibilities which Swapna gives, the subtle dimension of mind, intelligence, and ego. As we are seeing, when Arjuna is asking Krishna, please show me the universal form, then Krishna says, behold here, O Arjuna, with your divine eyes, you need divine eyes for that. Everything you ever desired to see, you want to see, past, present, and future, are all in the same place. So, if you are convinced that only gross matter is the reality, you're missing on the power to see and understand past, present, and future. See, that is gone. Now everything is now and at this very moment only is reality. Past, that is gone. Future, nobody knows the future. And we are happy living in ignorance, right? And this is what happens when consciousness becomes reduced, right? It's one of the first powers which develops if you properly practice yoga and you rise above the physical level, is that past, present, and future become visible and understandable. And we only consider this external world to be a reality, think, that's mystical, that's a déjà vu, that is paranormal. Nothing is paranormal. You're just a little bit block-headed, you see? That you think everything is so gross like that. That happens when you become convinced that everything in the reality is in the outer world. See, that's what happens. And you are then being pushed by that force of time. Though you want to resist it, you're still pushed forward towards your ultimate end, destruction, right? This is how we experience time in the outer world, in the Jagran world, the world of the material consciousness. And it leads to a destructive end. So, not able to travel in the past, understand the past, see the past, not able to understand the future. What kind of lessons we can derive from that? You're not able to do that. Neither are you able to see how the cosmos is a complete whole unit. All these things are possible if you are able to control the mind, and swapna is not, I would say, compulsory implied upon you, but you have control over that. You can open your mind. And like, it basically means you sit and you do in meditative state, you go to the state of dream and go deeper. In the meditative state, you go on the level of sushupti. So though the body and the mind are not there, the Atma is there. So you're supposed to be able to open your eyes in deep sleep. Then things become more understandable and visible than what is now here. How consciousness is expanding in these different levels. Just in a swapna state, dream state already, then you can have experience of past, present, and future, and know what's going to happen, right? Like that. And the nicest thing is that when you come to that level of becoming able to reason with the Atma, free from mind and body, then you also lose the 4 defects humans have. Brahm, Pramad, Vipralipsa, and Karanapatava. That you're an illusion, you make mistakes, imperfect senses, and have the tendency to cheat others. They also disappear. And when these defects disappear, then you become able to give real knowledge as it is. You see? It's all given by Srila Prabhupada. We just have to do it. Very strict. Come for sadhana. Every day you do. Live in a mode of goodness. If you don't know how to live in a mode of goodness, I've written a course on that, how to live, called Vaishnava etiquette, Vaishnava lifestyle. There you learn how to live in a mode of goodness. And one who learns to live in a mode of goodness, the first thing he realizes is he can see past, present, and future. This is said like that. So when you can see the truth and the reality, and you have knowledge, then you can give a real understanding. So, what is spiritual deliberation? As I've said, there are 4 states of consciousness: Jagran, Swapna, Sushupti, and Turiya, or wake, dream, deep sleep, and the 4th transcendental consciousness. When it is material, that subtle world of dream, where the mind is there, intelligence is there, is tending towards convincing the Atma that everything real is outside there. Right? That's material deliberation. You want to get a PhD in external world, right? You want to get a big title, you need a big job, and big money, everything big in outside world, which is destructive. Spiritual deliberation switches that off. No mind, no gross reasoning of the gross world. It tries to focus on the other side, going towards the Turiya level, the level of consciousness which is present in Vaikuntha and Goloka. The 4th level of consciousness is when you cross the Sushupti level, deep sleep, you enter into becoming able to see the spiritual form, because the spiritual form is your relationship with Krishna. So when you reason from that angle, it is considered to be spiritual intelligence. And spiritual intelligence is free from the defects, like I said. Now, Sushupti, deep sleep, is when the Jivatma is in a state of consciousness is turned off. But when you turn it on, it becomes pragya. Complete understanding becomes possible on that level. Prakrishta rupena jnana. That is how complete understanding becomes possible on that realm. Now you can ask, if there is no mind and only Atman, then how is understanding and reasoning possible? Because you need a mind for that. And the answer is, you don't need a mind to reason. The chit potency of the Atma has power to reason, and it functions by way of feeling. And that's the thing. When it ends, where it all ends, is the intelligence, material intelligence ends in the material world. When it comes to the spiritual world, you can only enter there within, with your Atman, with that aspect. And there is no material mind. It functions on the level of bhava and rasa. Everything is understood by way of emotion. That is the spiritual deliberation, the chit aspect, which is free from human mistakes. And then, once you have attained that state, like Paramatma's here is Mahavishnu, and you're able to awaken and sit with him and deliberate, free from mind and body, then That's actually communicating with Paramatma. You can say, okay, Paramatma is Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu or Kshidaka Sai Vishnu, but these three personalities, they function in the same way. It's just that he's controlling the total cosmos, all universes, that's Mahavishnu. The Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu is controlling the entire universe, and your Paramatma is controlling your mental thinking, feeling, willing, and your body. But they are basically the same personality on three different levels. And when you make a connection with them, then Vidhyate Ridhaya Granthis Chidyante Sarva Sanshaya Kshiyante Chasya Karmani Drishtevatmaneshware. When you are able to see yourself and the Lord sitting side by side, then all the material attachments are cut to pieces. The knots of material attachments. Bhidyate Ridhaya Granthis. Chidyante sarva sanshaya. Any doubt you have is also cleared. See, this is good, this is real knowledge. There are no more doubts. Kshiyante chasya karmani. All karma is finished. Karmic bonds are finished. Drishte evatmanishvare. When you see the self and the super self, when you can see those levels, then you have reached the level of free of karma. In the 8th canto, chapter 6, verse number 9, we find that Prabhupada describes that the famous verse, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadikshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. He comments on that verse, Prabhupada, in the purport there. And there he describes that when one sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, either in meditation or eye to eye, then everything in the material world becomes revealed to him. Nothing is unknown for that personality. See how amazing that is? That is because your consciousness now is able to see the Supreme Consciousness. And from that angle, nothing remains unknown. And that is spiritual deliberation. So, and gradually this will come as one develops more and more the attachment from the material world and becomes more and more attached to the spiritual world, then this is supposed to come also. So you can check yourself whether you're doing proper bhajan. So it says in the scriptures, Vyasotishtham Jagat Sarvam. All knowledge which is available in this world is just the remnants left by Maharishi Vedavyas. Vyasotishtham Jagat Sarvam. But we find here that there is a personality who is even the guru of Vyas. Who's the guru of Vyas? Anybody knows? It keeps you awake if I question you. Who's the guru of Vyas? Very good. Narada Muni. He's the guru of Vyas. And not only of Vyas, Narada Muni is also the guru of both Vedavyas and Valmiki. Valmiki is the famous writer of the Valmiki Ramayana. And it was he who questioned Narada that I have a desire to write a manuscript for humanity which will be exemplary to show how to live in this world and attain the final destiny of human life. But I'm trying to find a person who is exemplary. So, Narada, can you please help me? Who do you think in this time is worth of being taken as an example to write my Mahakavya, the Ramayana, or something, some benefit for humanity? So, Kosmin Sampratam Loke Kasya Gunavan Kasya Viryavan. This is the question Valmiki asked. And then Narada replied to him, that personality is now present. His name is Ramachandra. Like that. So he instructed Valmiki how to write the Valmiki Ramayana. And also the Bhagavatam was instructed by Vyasa, was instructed to Vyasa by the order of Narada to write like that. And Narada ordered Vyasa to go to the transcendental level of deliberation. One finds that in the 7th chapter of the 1st canto. And on the order of Narada, Vyasa went into deep meditation. And therefore, Bhagavatam is understood when one reaches that level of consciousness only. One can use Bhagavatam for many, many things and even misuse Bhagavatam for many, many things. Like you can try to find scientific physical evidence for black holes or for, other dimensions, all these things. It's not nice, it's there, it's part of the truth. But the actual goal of Bhagavatam is understood by Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Pranihite Male Apashyan Purushan Purnam Mayatadapashrayam. When Vyasdev went into deep meditation in Bhakti Yogena Manasi, in a samadhi where there is only bhakti, Samyak Pranihite Male, his heart his mind was completely free from all kinds of dirt, amale, right? That means no karma, no jnana, no envy, no lust, nothing. Everything was completely silenced. No mind anymore. Apashyan Purusham Purnam. Then he saw the complete personality of God at Purushottam, and that Maya was surrendered unto him. She was not like independent or equal like nowadays. No, she was surrendered and following the orders of the complete person. Now, a very nice word here. Samyak pranihite amale. He was on the level of amala, completely pure. So on that amala level of consciousness, he wrote the Amala Purana. What is the Amala Purana? Amala Purana. What is the name of Amala Purana? Srimad Bhagavatam is called Amala Purana. Yeah, I know you're all engaged in praising Krishna today. Everyone went to bed late, preparing everything. So I have to keep you engaged a little bit. So coming to the level of Amala, level of consciousness, he wrote the Amala Purana under the instruction of an Amala Acharya, Narada Muni. So now to be able to comment on Srimad Bhagavatam, one has to also be an Amala person, right? Like Prabhupada sometimes said, we are not interested with the lamplight of fools trying to comment on the scriptures. We don't need lamplight of fools. You know what's lamplight? When you study on your desk, it's lamplight, right? So they try to give some illumination on the Bhagavatam. But if they themselves are not self-realized on the level of Amala, they're able to see. How can they elaborate or clarify what is unclear? And this is a major problem. That they might have a big title in the Jagran world, in the external world, awakeness, but they are so ill expert in the levels of deeper consciousness, then what can they say? They can't see past, present, and future. Neither can they see the universal form, how everything is united. So how can you make such a comment then on Bhagavatam? These are the basic things you need to know in order to understand Bhagavatam. Therefore, 5 chapters are dedicated in a Bhagavatam describing the universal form, how everything is related. See? And how time travel is possible in the past, present, and future by way of consciousness. The gross body can't go, but the mind can go. And how to do that. All these things are mentioned. And therefore, those who are filled with the mala of a PhD and a big education, they will not be able to give a real understanding of Srimad Bhagavatam, because the Bhagavatam is not understood by the mind, but it's understood by emotions. And not emotions triggered by the Jagran world, not emotions triggered by the external world, emotions triggered by the spiritual, by the transcendental consciousness, from Krishna consciousness. And if that is understood, that instrument is used, then you can understand what these scriptures are giving. So, both in the Ramayana and in the Bhagavatam here, we find a problem. In the Ramayana, we find Vibhishana, and in the Bhagavatam, we find Prahlad Maharaj. Both are hated for their for their devotion by the demons, for their unalloyed service, right? Vibhishan, he openly told Ravana that, I have seen people who have both bad characters and good characters, but I haven't seen a person who has only bad characters like you. Ravana didn't like this, and he scolded him, and he kicked him out of the kingdom. He said, go to that beggar, and your Rama, whatever it is, if you glorify him, we don't need you anymore. And that's what Vibhishan did. And he was hated for that. The whole Rakshasa race considered him to be an outcast and a slave of the enemy. You gave up your protection and your affection for your own family and went to serve the enemies. You are worthless, rascal, fool. And similarly, we'll see here, Hiranyakashipu, he hated Prahlad because he thought that he is now a devotee of my enemy, right? That's the problem. That if you find in Kali Yuga, that you're allowed to smoke pot and ganja and freely, but you're not allowed to chant Hare Krishna, right? And the police will come and lock you up, isn't it? If you close the doors and do kirtan in the morning, it's completely contradictory. The guys who are supposed to be in jail for drinking beer and alcohol at night and smoking pot and ganja, they can easily revel in the night, do all nonsense. But those who want to do kirtan to purify the universe, they are going to be threatened. Like that. So this is similarly what the demons think, right? They cannot understand that there is something good in chanting Hare Krishna, and therefore they try to obstruct it. So, but both these personalities, Vibhishan in the Ramayana and Prahlad Maharaj in the Bhagavatam, they are the cause for liberating Ravana and Hiranyakashipu. And similarly, we have in what we're going to discuss tonight about Krishna, he is the cause of the liberation of Kansa. Kansa was very afraid. You find generally a tendency among the demons that they're very, very attached to their sinful life. Very attached. The more people are sinful, the more they are attached to life. And the more people are saintly, the less they are attached to life. Right? Because they have an attachment which is much greater than that. Attachment in the transcendental realm. But you find demons who are hunting for money, hunting for women, alcohol, they're hunting for, meat eating. They are so attached to their sinful life, very attached. And they might even curse you if you try to convince them that something else is higher and better. Who's higher, better? Where is your Hari? In this pillar? Show me in this pillar. Like that, they become very upset if their sinful sense gratification is being obstructed by some Hare Krishnas, bold-headed, with wearing, bed sheets. We don't want them, You should wear leather, cut from the skin of animals. Wear that as nice dress, something like that. It's all contradiction. The asuras, their buddhi is run by the mode of passion. You see, they have difficulty understanding mode of goodness, like that. So I think we should end here. And then, is there any questions or comments? Yes.
Thank you for the lecture. The first question is, you mentioned that when the bodies are created, they are in a specific mood. So it was also the mood of Mahavishnu, who created like snakes.
No, that's Brahma.
Brahma.
Yeah.
And my question was like, our gross bodies, are they also in a specific mood? Even if it's like a human body, do a specific body has a condition which is like like some people have like more in sattva guna by birth and some are more in tama guna?
I'll give a clear example. Some people they speak like this. Yes, señorita, ancora, dancy, right? Others say, pasta, raviola, They like this kind of food, and their speak is also different. If you see Italian people speaking, they speak a lot with their hands, The Germans are like this, the Dutch also. Then you have the Indians. All these conditionings are there because the subtle desires of the living entities. It is actually that first, the desires, they shape a subtle body. And then according to that, the gross body is growing around that. That's the principle how Brahma created. In order to do that, to create that thought form, that's how it's called, a thought form, a form made of thought, you need a lot of tapasya, a lot of life force to keep that intact. Because it takes time for the gross elements to grow on that. You see? Therefore you have to do tapasya. So anybody could be Brahma. You also. But you don't have enough pranic power to create thought forms who maintain for a long time, and then you can do something with it. Right? Therefore then the gross process is given for procreation. Right? That other system came. Otherwise in the beginning Brahma was creating just by the mind. For that you need mental power. And especially when all the jivas are in the body of Mahavishnu coming out through the lotus, they also enter the body of Brahma. So all the jivas, with all their desires, material desires, they're in the body of Brahma. And therefore, Brahma is being influenced by these desires. So then when certain desire is very prominent, then those who like that desire, they come out in the form of jivas and take that. Like when he stretches, it's in tamas, it's drooling, then the snakes, we like such kind of a body, When it's very playful and prling, like that, and little wings there, then the Gandharvas come out, So these are all subtle creation, right? When these thought forms come out, then the bodies are created around that. So Brahma's not doing it by himself. He makes, you see, there are different subtle levels of existence. It's like there is a causal body, which causes a subtle body. And the subtle body causes a gross body. So Brahma is doing the first thing. The Prajapati is doing the second thing. And then we have our bodies. Because there is different kinds of subtle bodies also. They also created. And in this way, you have everyone in the mode. If you want to know what is your mode, then you can use it by astrology. It tells you clearly what mode you are. It describes that there are 12 temperaments, right? 12 zodiacs, 12 temperaments. And the Vedic goes even further. Vedic accepts both. Vedic accepts the zodiac also, but also the nakshatra modes, 27 of them, and more precise even, ruled by the moon. And you can predict what somebody will be looking like, what kind of hue of skin color he has, what kind of food he likes very much. So you can predict, okay, if there is 108 preparations at night, then the person in this nakshatra will be looking at those preparations. Like somebody ruled by the moon will find, oh, the white ones are nice, you know, the rasgullas and the I call that shtikhand. He very much goes to that. And those ruled by the planet form of Mercury, they go for the spicy one, the little hottish with the chili in there. So that conditioned nature is given like that. But a nice thing, because it's all prasad, it still elevates you to the absolute platform. So yes, we are all created like that because we had our desires. And therefore we get a certain temperament and like that, and mixtures of temperaments. Especially you find that kids, they don't generally look like their parents, but they will look more like their grandparents often. Now, if the grandparents are very similar to the father, they find a copy of the child, you know? So that the conditioning of the parents is taken over in the child also, like that. Does it answer your question?
Yeah, thank you very much for the detailed explanation. And my second question is regarding the consciousness. I mean, you explained very in detail and how to see the future and the past, but it's for me like, I don't know, like not imaginary at all to reach such a consciousness. Just what I'm like observing sometimes, like how the moods are affecting us. Sometimes you're in a subject, or you feel that you're in Krishna consciousness, and then on the next day you wake up, you're like in Mangalarati, and you don't feel it at all because your consciousness became like again very small, and I just can observe it how my consciousness like getting increasing and decreasing all the time, and sometimes I just don't know what to do about this, especially when I'm in this block-headed mood. So is it like to start from warm with sattva or directly go into sadhana, because also my sadhana is they're not somehow blocked?
Good question. So you see, I mentioned this again and again, and there's always a need for repetition. There is basically 3 levels of conditioned consciousness, and the 4th one is transcendental. In Sanskrit, it's called Jagran, consciousness in a state of awake. You have Swapna, consciousness in a state of dreaming, and there is a state of deep sleep. And these 3, you're always, every day you're experiencing this. Every night when you go to sleep, you go through these levels of consciousness. Why is it given like that? That means it is teaching you something. Krishna wants to show you something. Self-realization is not so difficult. If you just observe, analyze yourself, when I'm in deep sleep, what do I experience? I don't see any dreams. Completely calm, satisfied, peaceful. So if you make yourself in that state of mind, satisfied, peaceful, in your consciousness, completely calm, then though your eyes are open, you're still in deep sleep level. It is like that. And then it requires some training. It requires some time for you, just like when you go to a forest and you want to pick some berries, specific berries you want to have for jam or jelly, whatever it is. You go there, it requires some time for you to find that tree, you know. It's not all at once it happens. No, you have to look a little bit and go closer, like that. So same, Dayal Nitai or Vijay Gauranga ki jai. So to come in a state of internal peace is one thing, but then it is like a forest. You have to be able to focus on it. Focus on a certain question, and then the answers will come. Now, it is not necessary to feel blockheaded. Yes, it is necessary to give up laziness, slowness. But otherwise, these states of consciousness are always with you. You just have to train yourself. When I feel obstructions in the wake state, then it means something is not functioning properly in maybe in the dream state, that I'm not observing properly, because you can only observe an external world if the dream state, the subtle consciousness, is also watching. You know this term staring. People stare. It's like, hey, shall we go? He's not hearing, he's staring. Hey, what is he doing? He's in another state of consciousness. He's not observing what's there. It's possible. Staring is actually meditation, like that. So when you feel blockheaded, then you go in a deeper state of consciousness and take that block out, throw it out. These are simple yogic techniques they do. And then you find things work better. And the nicest thing is, it is not either or. So you're either awake or you're in dream or you're in deep sleep. Like now, under the condition of Maya, it is like that. You can't help it. You just melt down, your Jagran melts into dream. And dream melts into deep sleep. And you have no control over it. Right? But when you practice properly awakening of consciousness, you have all three at the same time. You can open your eyes, you be in the external world, see past, present, and future, and see people's Atma, everyone's Atma you can see. That is Krishna consciousness, right? So it is a practice. The holy name is coming from the fourth level to the deep sleep state, from there to Swapna and to Jagran, to this. And therefore we use the mantra to awaken those states of consciousness. So there's a technique for chanting based on this fact. And like I said, Bhagavatam dedicates 5 chapters to describing the creation and universal form, because it's dealing with the creation of consciousness. The external material elements are not so important, though I have seen devotees making elaborate notes on the elements and this and that. More important is the consciousness, right? How our consciousness was created and how to purify that and go back to Godhead, like that. So there are techniques to do that, and the best way is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Does it make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. I was thinking about this, how practical I can just refocus my consciousness, and this is like only by chanting, or are there also other techniques like from yoga?
There are many techniques. Yeah, no, we'll see. Okay. Pranayam is meant to calm down the mind after stress. We can use that, but it's not the full process, because there's no devotion in there, there's no Radharani in there. So what will you gain from that? Then you have asanas. Asanas are meant to throw out all the pains and problems from your body. Because if you have pain and problem, you can't even sit properly. How can you concentrate? You see? So these things are physical and mental calmness, pranayam and asanas. They are there. You can do that. There's no harm in there. But there is no Radharani in there. That's a problem. You see? There's no bhakti in there. So you can use it as a tool. Just like we also use dress. We also use spoons and cups and plates. So like that you can use. But understand that's not the process. It's just a helping technique. The thing is that you analyze how you feel. Go deep inside, analyze how you feel when you're in deep sleep. Analyze when you were in state of dreaming. And observe yourself when you're awake. And then in your chanting, you recreate those states of consciousness and chant and let the mantra open up that dimension. See, when Swapna opens up, it's not called Swapna anymore in Sanskrit, it's called Tägliche. Means the power of the mind becomes manifest, and then you can see much more. Otherwise, if it's closed, it's called Swapna, dreaming. If it's not closed, it's called Tägliche. And that's the difference between a visionary and a madman. A madman uses ganja, uses all kinds of drugs to have some vision, some kind of a ghostly vision. Youth do that, What happens is that they break their chakras, they break the subtle body, they damage it by doing that. But the visionary person is able on his own will to open his chakras, open the subtle body, see, and then close, so that nothing can enter his body. But those who are haunted because of using all these drugs, they have all these problems, you see. So there is the misuse path, and there is the proper path. And the Hare Krishna path is the best path. But it's fully licensed, and especially, it goes up to the level of the fourth consciousness. It goes beyond conditioning. Because Mahavishnu means, there everyone enters in the material world, right? He's in a border of the spiritual and the material world. So when you cross Mahavishnu, you're with Krishna.
Yeah,
That was your question.
That was my question. How can
Rid of Paramatma? Then who you want to discuss with?
The spiritual world, there is no Paramatma.
But you're not in the spiritual world yet.
No, I'm not. It's not important to get rid of it already here.
Here, you can do that only when you can see your spiritual form. Then you don't need Paramatma anymore. But as long as you're not 24 hours, every second aware of your spiritual form, that means Thai Bhava.
Yeah, Siddha minds or something.
Yeah, see, that is same as Thai Bhava. I used Rupa Goswami's terminology. Bhava has to be fixed. Then you're always seeing Krishna. Then you see Sthavaram Jangam na dekhe, dekhe taramurti, sarvatra tar ishtadeva spurti. Then you don't see walking beings or non-able to, char achar. Sthavaram Jangam. You don't see standing objects or walking objects. So you see Krishna everywhere. Right? But these are perfections. It takes time together. These are perfections you're asking. Yeah, chanting is the way. And making no offense in your chanting, then it will happen. If you still make offenses, then the effect of the chanting is reduced. Like that. And then it doesn't work. Well, otherwise, that actually is there. The Goswamis had it. He Radhe Braja Devi ke chalalite, He Nanda Suna Kutaha. They're crying in ecstasy. What are you, Radha? And you were walking Govardhan Parikrama, 3 parikramas a day. Can you do one? They are completely exhausted. They were doing an ecstasy, 3 parikramas, looking, where is Radha, where is Krishna? That state of consciousness, but actually then, because the body also requires some maintenance, the gross body, Paramatma will be there, but he will be more covered. Maybe that's what you want. Madhvacharya even says that Paramatma can take up a female form. In his Mahabharata Nirnaya, he says, Mahabharata can take up Paramatma can take up any form. So if it's feminine, do you mind if your Paramatma would become Shrimati Radharani? You asked the question, so now you're backing off, you see?
No, certainly, but I'm not speaking of it because it's...
First you have to awaken to that level of self-realization, right? When you just waken up the Atman from deep sleep, already it says here, Drishteva Atman Ishvara, you also see Ishvara. Directly you see him. So say, you want to I don't want to see Mahavishnu, I want to see Govinda. No problem. That's what happened to Brahma also. When he saw Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu and he came to teach him, it became Ishvaraha Parama Krishna Sajirananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. He took up the form of Govinda. You see? Like that. So then he saw the original form. That's what you want. But even seeing Mahavishnu is a great thing, Anybody can see Mahavishnu. I was like a great, fantastic. Anything else? Okay, we end here. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
You're singing so nicely.
You should put some real kokila. It's like this.
I don't. Yes, I have done it. I know.
This sound was not there.
I think it was something like
These are birds,
singing.
but this one, it's a kokila, right? Kokila.
Yeah,
Find it on the net and put it there.
I put it in Vrindavan.
You can find it on the net, kokila voice, and you put in your mobile, whatever it was, and you can play here.
You're singing very nicely. You should sing more.
Kokila one.
When you're doing lectures, you're singing. During the lectures, it's very nice.
Tell me today 5 minutes. Kirtan.
Beautiful.
So next kirtan will be at 10:30, 10 to 10:30. After your class around 6. That will be all
Around
Braj.